Hello, back with another VOD review. This is a high diamond slash low masters support player. This is a follow-up VOD review. I did a VOD review on this player maybe a couple of weeks ago now. They were, I think, around mid diamond at the time, so they've climbed up a little bit. They've reached low masters, which is great. I think they mentioned that this was actually like a sort of mid masters lobby, with them potentially being the lowest ranked player in here. They mentioned that they think they did really well in the first round of this map, and that they think that the second round they struggled to get value, feeling like their DPS and their tank weren't taking a lot of space. So we'll have a bit of a look and see if we can figure out what the issue is. I think I might have given you this feedback in the last game, or maybe it was another game with another Illari player, but resource-based healers don't often synergize really well with each other. So like with Illari, obviously a pylon, not resource-based, but your right click is, right? And then Mizuki is another example of a resource-based healer. So he has his passive, but his passive is, it just helps to heal a little bit of chip damage here and there. It's not any form of burst healing. And he's got two hats. So a lot of the time I feel like characters like Brigitte, Moira, Illari and Mizuki often like maybe don't feel that good to play alongside one another, because what can end up happening as the team fight breaks down and resources start getting low is you get to a situation where like neither of your supports can actually do any like healing when somebody's like really needs some burst heals or some help, right? So obviously like you can't control what the other supports pick and that sort of thing, but I would just encourage you to like keep that in mind. Like sometimes you might need to consider like not playing two resource-based characters. It feels like your positioning here, I see we're already working on one of the key things, so it's coming back to me now. I think key things that we spoke about in the last review were putting your pylon in high ground locations, because you were playing against the Doom on that game too, and the Doom kept breaking a pylon with his like slam and that sort of thing. So we're doing that, which is great. Other things were so it was pylon placement, it was ult usage. I think being more proactive with the ults was a big one as well, because you were holding ult for a long time, looking for like the perfect ult rather than just going for a viable ult, right? And I think other issues were around sort of speed of rotations and general positioning. I do feel like maybe for an Illari, you're playing a little bit forward here at the moment. So we take some chip damage there, but I guess like we're not punished for it. Get some good damage off, you react well to the Doomfist going in. It looks like he gets hit by the Mizuki hook anyway, so I guess it works out fine. I take it back. Maybe it's not too far forward. Your team clearly wants to play up. It's interesting though, because your team comp doesn't really like seem like it would want to play from here, given what you're extremely poke heavy. Like realistically, like the strategy for your team probably is to let the enemy team move up and take a little bit of space and poke them out by having like your Ashe and your Widow. Maybe your Ashe would be up here and then drop down, and then your Widow further back, and you and the Mizuki and the Dominant all poking. So it's interesting that we're pushing up so far on like a really poke-based comp. But fuck it, if it works, it works. Hopefully it keeps working. Oh, you got that. Well, she died, it just wasn't your shot. All right, we're going to react well to that. He doesn't go for us, so that's good. Easy, so our pylon location is getting heaps of value right now. Uh-oh, we're not quite listening to the sound cues there, but we get some pocket from Mizuki. Our team turns and he's going to die. Just going to go back a bit. Nah, so he wasn't crouch walking. I can just hear him, but my sound settings are like 1/5 of normal when I do a VOD review, so maybe listening out for their sound cues a little bit more. You're ultimately like extremely close to dying there, right? And that death could have really punished your team quite a lot. Still find like the positioning super weird. Like, I wouldn't expect to see a Widowmaker on this map come down and attempt to take this angle, right? Like, I wouldn't really expect an Ashe on this map to be like trying to play this angle. Like, this is quite bizarre, but we'll see how long you guys can keep this up for. Because in theory, they should just, with their comp the way it is at the moment, especially with the speed boost doing this, I feel like they in theory should just be able to run you over from this position. Cool, you hit a dink there. So that dink there is really important, I think, because it's gonna slow the tempo of their push a lot. Like now, this Emre needs to like chill and heal instead of being able to actually walk up. Because what they wanted to do here for sure was to come and take this angle, especially with the dominant shield there. So if they repick here, like there's nothing to shoot at except a shield. If they take this angle, they can start to like make space. So that's a really like important headshot that you just hit. Cool, you get the knockback. I remember another thing from the last game was that you were overly heal botting, right? All right, nice. I love to see it because last game, right? Like you weren't moving your pylon up during team fights. It was like a set and forget play style. I remember because it was on King's Row, and you had it in like the same location for a full team fight, and it stopped being useful after the first few seconds. So you've definitely worked on some of the like key issues from last game, like already, which I'm seeing is great, right? I think we probably need to react better to the fact that we just saw a DPS fling a DPS to our left. So healing the tank there, like less of a priority than probably the Ashe, who the Ashe probably wants to start playing the game again. But like, if I'm the Ashe, I'm reconsidering my desire to peek any angles when I'm this low, right? I think a little bit too much, like pocket onto the domino there, but that's okay. This feels like a free kill. Nice. Yeah, so the Ashe does end up dying. So, I mean, it's partly your fault, partly Mizuki's fault. We definitely see the Ashe get like flung across our screen in like 3, 2, maybe I went back too far, 1. So we see it here, right? But like, I mean, we see it, but you don't see it sort of thing. So I think having a little bit more awareness of that there would have been really good. I don't really mind you like pushing the Doomfist here because he's actually just used all of his cooldowns anyway. Like usually I wouldn't suggest get up melee range, but I think this is fine. You and the Mizuki deal with it. Unfortunately, like your Ashe dies, but the reason your Ashe died isn't because you chased the Doomfist, it's because you didn't even know the Ashe was there needing help anyway. Not sure what we're doing now. It's like you think there's something behind you. I'm like confident that there isn't, right? I don't see what could be behind you. If we think about their team comp, like even without the benefit of being able to see through walls in the replay view, it's like what could be behind you? And it feels like the answer is pretty much nothing. Cool, one more, very nice. We hit the heady, very nice. Yeah, I mean, you're just blowing them up, really. So we've got our ult. They don't have a cleanse. They don't have a Doomfist ult, so they have actually no form of cleanse at all. Let's see what we do with it. Obviously, we don't need to ult now because we've just killed their tank. Well, actually, maybe there's a world in which we do. Nah, never mind. We already just used 2 ults, so you obviously don't need to go now. So lamp first, lamp first, lamp first. I'm a bit slow on the uptake with the lamp. So here, we waste a bit of time shooting him instead of the lamp. I mean, someone just needs to shoot the lamp, right? Flick over to it. Last time you see Mizuki, he is essentially full health. Now, I don't know if I blame you for the Mizuki dying here. I'm not sure that he needs to so aggressively peek the window that the Emre is shooting through. I assume that he just gets, yeah, so he essentially gets 2 tapped. I mean, it's a short little reaction window for you, isn't it? I probably wouldn't put that death on you. If you healed him, he might have lived, but realistically, it's a pretty big misplay from the Emre there, I think. Cool. We probably don't want to invest our ult right now, yeah, because we just lost 2 players. We probably just want to walk back and hopefully reposition. Yeah, cool. All right. Unfortunately, it looks pretty cooked right now, and it is pretty cooked right now. So, although you had ult, like you're already standing under the bridge when they invest their Juno Ray, it's like you can't fly directly up because the bridge is in the way. You have to either go in front of it or behind it. It feels a bit scary and a bit sketchy to invest the ult there. I guess like in retrospect, had we have maybe been a bit more aware of the Mizuki and saved him, this fight might have gone a bit differently, but the Mizuki also like made an unforced error that he just decided to stand in the open on the other side of a window with an Emre shooting through. So it's hard to really put that on you too much. I think for the most part, like you'd addressed like the key issues from last time, right? Like you weren't overly heal botting, like you weren't just holding right click and barely shooting, you're actually shooting. I wouldn't be surprised if you have, yeah, I was going to say if you have like almost the same damage as any of the DPS, which you do. you had better pylon positioning. I think really there was just the two instances of the Ashe dying and the Mizuki dying where like maybe there's an opportunity for you to like show a little bit more awareness of your team. But otherwise pretty good, and I agree with the decision not to pop an ult there. That's a bit of a shame. I think you might be fucked here, to be honest, yeah. We could look at the micro of you walking out of spawn and whether you needed to walk into the Doomfist, but I think it's unproductive at the end of the day, so we'll just keep going. But, okay, so we're going down here maybe to try and like save our Mizuki because we're worried he might die again, but we ultimately do just want to get like a preferential high ground where we have an angle. Cool, we get a shot off. Alright. Cool. Got a really nice angle, free kill, easy. Alright, I'm so interested to see how you do this because you obviously don't want to drop, right? So you need to now somehow figure out a way to win this 1v1 duel, or at least not die during this 1v1 duel because you're actually like quite isolated at the moment. The Mizuki will take a long time to get to you, right? The Ashe is probably not going to make any contribution to you. I think if you don't want to drop down, one of the best things you could potentially do would be to like drop down this way and land here and then see if you can chase the Doomfist back in, right? Especially if you're aware of your teammates' positioning because that will put you and the Doomfist, like the Doomfist will essentially be inside of like 3 enemies, which increases your chances, but see how you play it. Okay, the Doomfist is not pushing you, which is very strange and unexpected. So actually you don't end up having to like do anything really. The Doomfist just decides not to engage on you. Excuse me. We feed a punch, but it doesn't really matter because he dies. All right, let's move up. Let's get our angle again. It's good that we're getting kills, but the cart continues to move forward. So while it's not your job to stop the cart from moving forward necessarily, I guess we need to get up here and do some stuff, which we're doing. We're definitely doing stuff right now. I wouldn't drop, personally. I know that you're dropping to secure the kill, but like you don't need to drop to secure the kill. You would be better off marking out this Emre because it like your dominant just is going to drop here, right? Like the dominant is gonna drop down and play the low ground here. I think I'd be highly surprised to see a dominant just like stand up here even without the drop, and realistically it's going to take you quite a long time to walk back up. The Doomfist is going to be back in the fight before you can make the rotation back to the higher ground. So I know we want to get the kill, but it feels like BAP has no real chance of living there, so you might as well just stay up here and be ready to mark out the next people that come through these angles. Take a bit of spam there. We really do want to ideally get back on this high ground position. Cool, at least you know where he is. I feel like because you know where everyone is, there's really nothing from stopping you from like moving back and taking that better high ground position. Like playing from here isn't terrible, but it's not necessarily great either. I think if we think about like the enemy sightline difference between here and there, like if you want to shoot the enemy, you have to stand in this door that's like, 1.5 meters wide, right? So realistically, if they want to predict your movement and shoot you back, like, the crosshair adjustment is really small depending on which side you walk over, right? It's there or there. Whereas if you're playing from up here, like the crosshair adjustment, you could peek from here, you could peek from here, either side, right? You can walk backwards you could be on this left side here. I should have brought EpiPin in, sorry. You could be on this left side here, take a bit of damage, decide to walk back, go across and come to here, right? So it just feels like a much better angle. Even though you'd be stacking angles with the Widow, I don't think it matters too much. It's also really nice to maybe have you up here because the Doomfist at some point is probably going to want to come up here and challenge an angle, and you having that boop ability from your shift can help deny that, right? I think this position here is just like worse off, and we end up getting punished for it because we also greed the angle a little bit there, I think, right? Like we're full health, we poke out, we take one shot, we take some damage back. I would be de-peeking now because this is like where I talk about in other VOD reviews, and I'm not sure if I did it in yours or not, the concept of like eye contact, okay? Currently, we're totally safe. We're currently totally, fucking it's so slow. We're currently totally safe, right? We come out, we take a shot, we take one shot, okay, we miss our shot, that's fine, sometimes we miss shots, but there's a reality like right here where we realize that there's two, potentially three people, because the Doomfist is also below us. Obviously we don't see the BAP until just now because you presumably don't have cheats on and wall hacks during a game. But you walk around a corner, you miss your first shot, and then there's instantly two people that are a genuine damage threat that can look at you. At that point, you actually need to like not greed the angle and D-peek rather than going for the follow-up shot. You die just because of a little bit of greed here, realistically. I think maybe our pylon is living and still providing value, which is nice. But our team is ultimately collapsing, and I think again like your death there ends up being a key factor for that. You managed to save the Ashe, which is good, and the Ashe gets a trade, so that trade is really, really important. But again, the objective right now is to survive, okay? Like the worst thing that you and the Ashe can do is die now, right? Because your team pretty much all got the same respawn wave, right? No, actually I couldn't quite tell the difference in colors, I'm blind today. But the Widow is slightly behind. But ultimately, like your team is walking back. You've gotten a trade. Like all you got to do now is live. You don't necessarily need to stop the cart progress. You just need to make sure that you guys don't get staggered out, right? So BAP's behind you. You react reasonably well to the BAP. I think we are hopefully repositioning our pylon to help us out. We're not. Yeah, okay. So I would have used pylon selfishly there, even though like it potentially could have kept healing the Ashe. I think like sometimes it needs to be like a bit of a me first approach. It might have been really difficult for you to win that given like the positions of all the enemies and that sort of thing. But I think potentially like you didn't need to like go and 1v1 the BAP quite to that extent, right? I think if you wanted to play around here, you could have played around here. You could have if you're worried about the BAP, you can D-peek the angle this way and make him chase you. Because if you make him chase you, then there's a chance that the Ashe can shoot him as well, right? Rather than taking a pure 1v1, if you pull him in, the Ashe is here. The Ashe might end up shooting the Doomfist and the plan doesn't work out, but at least you create a possibility that more than just you shoot the BAP, right? You also get the benefit of the pylon healing two people, and you can also potentially heal and support the Ashe. I think going for the 1v1 maybe wasn't quite the right decision, but also if you are going to go for the 1v1, I think you need to have like brought your pylon over a lot sooner. Like probably the timing for the pylon relocation is right now, before you even necessarily go for this shot, just to help, because the later you try and put the pylon out, like the worse the health trade is going to be, right? So if you just throw the pylon out pretty much straight away, I think maybe you've got a better chance of this trade. But ultimately I think, you know, had we have just stayed up here, we still might have died, to be honest, because the Venture is going to come up as well in a second, as we saw. But I feel like maybe there's a world in which you guys can potentially trade out the BAP if he does decide to greed the angle and chase around this corner rather than you going to him. And in that case, the trade still works out good, right? Like even if you both die, if you kill the BAP, then it feels good because your team is going to be coming back as three people with the Mizuki for heals, and they're going to be trying to push the card up with no supports because the Juno's dead, and then the BAP would die as well, hopefully. So I think you've got some opportunities there and the micro of that team fight, right? I'd also note as well that this is the third time now that I think we've seen you respawn and just walk back into your death. So maybe keeping a bit more track of, or maybe it's the second or third time. The first time was after you died at first point. Then you came in here to try and save the Mizuki and died, and then up here maybe to try and save the Ashe. Maybe you just need to think a little bit more about like how many people on my team died, how many people on their team died, because you are getting staggered out a few times here. And each of these stagger deaths just results in more and more cart push. Right, we're a bit slow with that one. It's also put in a maybe not so optimal position where it feels like it could die really easily. Unfortunately, we just get destroyed here. Okay, yeah. I was wondering if you would ult here. It feels like a tough ult to get value from. Ultimately though, like we had ult at first point, we didn't use it. We had ult all through this fight, we didn't use it. It doesn't feel winnable, given like your team's positioning and the ults that you've just heard them use, which is the Emre ult and the BAP ult. But I would be pleasantly surprised to see if you can convert this into a teamfight win. Did you even fire the ult? Or did you just die? Oh, we fired it, but the Doomfist ate it, so that's a bit of a shame, isn't it? Yeah, I think ultimately, like, we just needed to look for like maybe some ult timings a bit earlier throughout this. I mean, the biggest issue so far has just been you mispositioning and dying, right? On this point anyway, and I think the biggest issues here would be like not acknowledging your Ashe, so you're down a player for the next team fight that follows it, and then maybe not helping the Mizuki when he made a mistake. But then here, I think it's the fact that you got staggered out here, which meant that your team gave up more positioning, and then I think the fact that you then like greed this angle and die, and then you come up here and you get staggered out one more time. So maybe you need to think a little bit more about like grouping as a team when you walk out of spawn, rather than sort of just walking back in because like there happens to be one more player alive and maybe you think that you can save them. We went back pretty far, didn't we? I didn't realise. Right. Otherwise, again, like the other key things that you need to work on from the last review, like you're doing, like the pylon locations are better, you're putting them out fairly promptly, other than the 1v1 situation with the BAP and maybe that one when you walked out of spawn before was a little bit slow. But you've worked on that and you're not just like walking around right clicking and not shooting. So it's all is good. I mean, at the end of the day, like you've definitely got like a self-serving pylon that doesn't benefit your team in any way, but like you're taking an angle, you're trying to build ult, you're trying to do some damage, like it doesn't feel like a misposition or a misplay by you that results in the cast dying. Like, you know, maybe we could have our pylon sitting like up here right now, like kind of like right like here. And then that could potentially be throwing out some healing onto both you, because if you take damage, you can just like stand here and the pylon will heal you. And it also like maybe give this cast 1 or 2 ticks of heals before he dies. But yeah, I guess that's a pretty small critique of that. I think we do need to do some pocket on this area. Cool, we're a little bit slow to react to that. I think we need to reposition our pylon now. So now I'd consider putting it probably like here, to be honest. Yeah, so same sort of critique as this one. It's a bit self-serving. Like, okay, it's going to heal you. It's going to heal the Ashe. I guess it's going to heal the Zarya a little bit there and Mizuki, but it feels like an easy kill for their team to break this pylon. You know, like this BAP could just shoot it twice. Whereas again, if we put it in the high ground position, that's a little bit safer. It won't take damage from like spam damage and grenades and slams from Doomfist and that sort of thing, and it can still heal everyone that you want it to heal from there. We're shifting the pylon, so I think we recognise that it's not in a good position. I was about to say that we need to consider taking a different angle, but then I just saw the frame of the Ashe being on that angle. Ultimately, like, I guess the challenge is we're playing a poke comp. We haven't been able to actually set up a proper team fight. We're just staggering through here. It's a bit of a tough one. The Mizuki ult feels really, really sad overall. Our pylon is the same issue as the other 2 pylons, so we won't re-explain it. Very, very close to death there, but we live. To move our pylon upright. Oop. That feels a bit greedy. I wonder if that's going to end up really heavily punishing your team. I feel like there's a world, like we don't, first of all, like pylon, right? Pylon. Secondly, like, do we need to, like, when we see the Doomfist there, do we need to walk in? Or can we swing to the left, shoot him, and then just like jiggle peek in and out of here, or even jiggle peek this way and this way, right? Like maybe we don't actually need to like walk in a straight line directly into him, and make it like extra easy for him to get the kill, right? Like you try and react with your shift there, but even if you shift, I think there's a decent chance you get punched and die there. So again, just consider like Illari's effective range. I remember you were playing against the Doomfist on King's Row, and I had a few critiques around like you getting stuck in like small confined spaces against the Doomfist then as well. It doesn't look like there's too much of a punish on your team, because even though you and the cast died at the same time, they obviously didn't have enough players to keep any momentum going. So let's think about a pylon, right? You've been really good with the pylons up until this point. So maybe like it's like a stress thing, maybe like you're having trouble like focusing on it for a while. I still feel like this pylon is too low. We're also like playing too far up, and this sort of ties back to what I said at the first point, where it's like maybe like our really poke heavy comp doesn't want to like play such a forward position. Realistically, like I don't see any reason why you as Illari couldn't be playing from up here or back here right now, right? Like you don't need to be frontlining necessarily. If we look at how much damage you just take and where you take it, like you are, when you actually take the damage, where are we? 3, 2, 1. I mean, you're essentially the second most forward person on your team, and I'm not sure that like you need to be here. I'm not sure that like most of the team needs to be here. I think the Zarya positioning makes sense. I think the Mizuki positioning on this corner makes sense. I think the Cass's positioning makes sense. I'm thinking that you and the Ashe need to create a little bit more distance. One, because of like just the nature of effective range, right? Like at this range, the Venture can hit you from here, right? If you just go back to here, the Venture can't shoot you unless she gets the extra range perk from this range. So you're just limiting like how much fire back you can take from other people. You can do your full damage from this range. At least one of their characters can't do damage to you. The Doomfist can't really do damage to you unless he uses the cooldown to engage, because his fist cannon does like, you know, not much from here, right? Even the Juno would have damage fall off. Juno's obviously dead, but if the Juno was like up here right now, she would have damage fall off shooting you, and you wouldn't at this range, right? So we want to play more at our effective range, not the enemy's effective range. Also, given the amount of splash damage that they have, Venture does splash damage, Emre grenades do splash damage, Doomfist, Punch, and Splash do, Slam do splash damage. We don't necessarily want to all huddle up as a team of 5 here. Like we want to have angles, we want to have a spread, right? In an ideal world, we'll probably have like you or the Ashe around this angle and the other one up on this angle, right? If the person that's up on this angle is really scared about getting focused out by the Doomfist and getting isolated, then maybe what you'd have is one person on this angle and then one person playing like this angle around here, maybe slightly wider, and then as the fight breaks down, they swing left, they swing left, they swing left. It might give you fewer opportunities to do damage for now, but realistically you can't like just be out here and take like significant amounts of poke damage, especially again with the resource-based healing team, where like once Mizuki runs out of hats and once you run out of right click, like there's no more burst healing for your team at that point, right? So it's important to minimize that like pre-fight poke damage. We take heaps and heaps of damage. So I actually think I paused it on the wrong frame to illustrate why your positioning was so bad. So we'll look at it just a few more seconds. Is it here? So here, like you briefly cross in front of the Zarya. So you as the Illari end up being the most forward person on your team there. And, you know, the punish is pretty clear as to why that happens. You can't control the positioning of everyone else. But again, I think that the Cass, the Mizuki, and the Zarya's positioning all like more or less make sense to me, okay? It's yours and the Ashe's positioning that like I find questionable here. You end up booping back the Venture, which also gives your team a little bit more of a chance to put shots in. The Ashes basically isolated themselves on an island. You need to prioritize the threat to you right now. Okay, he doesn't punch you, that's good. Okay, you can kill that Venture. Never mind, Lamp comes through. Hope still kill that Venture. Nice. Get some good pocket. We want to hold our shift right now to get away from this Doomfist ult. Nice, nice, nice. Not only do you do it properly, but you get yourself onto a high ground. It makes it slightly harder for him to get like a good follow-up punch and stuff. So really happy to see how you played that. I think again though, maybe we could just be a little bit further back. Maybe we don't need to play like all the way back here, and we don't want to play all the way back here during that situation because there's nothing to shoot. But even if it's like Ash here and then like you here, like here, for example, just create that little bit more spacing. I'm confident that you could have shot every single target that you chose to shoot at, you could have done from further back, right? Ash dies. Bummer. That's not on you. Let's rotate up our pylon. Let's rotate up our pylon. Alright, probably no need to rotate up our pylon anymore because we've ceded all the space and we're moving back. So once again, you are the most forward person on your team. You're almost a tie with Zarya, but not quite. So we need to like take this rotation a little bit earlier, right? We take a bunch of poke damage. We also now put ourselves in a less desirable position. Also, as a symptom of playing too far up, our team is dying behind us and we are not pocketing them at all, right? So you're not aware of your teammates' health pools because you frankly, like you simply cannot see your teammates, right? Like you're playing too far up and that's a punish on your team. I think he has lamp, but it still feels like this is a potentially winnable fight for you guys. You do nail a good ult. I like the timing of it. I think, bummer. I can see why you pushed up there, but maybe it wasn't quite the right decision. Like, it seemed like you put your pylon out with the goal of getting heals from your pylon during your ult, but then you decided to fly over here where the pylon can't see you. So just keep that in mind. Like if your goal is like, I want pylon pocket during my ult, then obviously you need to like stay in line of sight. You probably didn't need to like push up that much because the team fight was already won at that point anyway. But there won't be a punish in this situation. You guys have killed 3, you'll be fine. Cool. Alright, put a pylon up. Cool. Position feels like it's doable only for a few seconds. All right, so we're having another one of these issues where we are these well, I think half a second ago I can't be bothered going back, but you're probably the second most forward person on the team again, so again we probably need to like consider that again. Like look at how many people just took damage from this Doomfist punch. Like actually I do want to go back because I want to highlight how much ult charge he just got off of one slam because 5 people are standing on top of each other. So he's 48%. Is 62%, right? Like we don't want to just give like 14% every time the Doomfist walks in, okay? Because he's just going to have ult every fight. It's not only on you, of course, but again, like I would say that you could be doing absolutely everything that you were doing during this fight from playing from here this whole time where you have a cover to D-peek too. Or you could potentially like play from back here, but maybe against the Doomfist that feels a little bit scarier because you could end up getting isolated over here, right? Still, it's nice to have extra angles. So maybe you're the Ashe or someone here, and then the other one there, right? And then your Zarya where she is, Cass around here, Mizuki around here somewhere, and then that feels pretty good, right? Zarya doesn't get the Mizuki ult, which is a little bit sad. So the Mizuki ult is really poorly placed, I think. Oh, we missed the shot. Tragic. Cool. We can put our pylon out in 2 seconds. Give pocket, give pocket, give pocket. That's good. Let's get a pylon out. Let's get a pylon out. Let's get our pylon out. Cool. Give pocket to your cast. You just saw a low health cast get flung across your screen. Alright, done. Oh, I assume it's done anyway. Surely it's done. They even had a disconnection. Surely it's done. Surely it's done. That's crazy. Alright, you're back on Kiri. Damn, okay, they fucking cap there, that's crazy. Oh, they don't cap, okay, cool. Oh, they C9, okay. Yeah, right, maybe we'll go back and we'll actually look at what went so incredibly wrong there, because I was just going to skip ahead to the next round, thinking that this is done. So at this point, the Venture goes in, the Venture has ult, the Juno doesn't quite have ult just yet. Okay, we get a little bit too lost in the sauce trying to chase the Juno. And I think our DPS die as a result. So we're seeing a bit of a trend so far of you not quite acknowledging your DPS enough, right? I think like kind of unacceptable that they both die here. To be honest, like now it makes sense that they'll die into the Ventral, but like the Cass getting like pre-fight pick there just because you wanted to turn around and try and get the air shot on the burrowing Venture, maybe like not a good play, right? We'll skip ahead now because we know what went wrong. So in your post, you said on attack in particular, you had a lot of trouble finding angles and getting value. I think for first point, Eichenwalde, that's really just a symptom of the map for playing support. Like it is incredibly difficult to get significant amounts of value pushing through support, at least personal value anyway. Like pocketing your teammates and stuff can obviously be value, but it's difficult to have like a high impact individually pushing this angle as support. You do need your DPS to walk up. Again, I think like I can see part of the symptom potentially end up being the nature of running the two like resource based backline. Be good to get a pylon up. Maybe like right here. Cool. Great minds think alike. All right, let's shift back. Oh, I still would have shifted back just to be safe there, because if he did go for the punch, he would have died. So our cast dies, but I can understand why we're pretty locked in on what we're doing. Where does the cast end up dying? In there. I mean, the cast isn't doing the wrong thing. Like he's trying to take another angle. Obviously, again, I talked about like we don't want just like 4 people all huddled up here, but ultimately, I guess the issue is that your team is trying to push up when you're a player down already, and they have a comp that's good at getting around you and being a nuisance, right? All right, so we've gotten a pick, that's good. Let's move our pylon up. Let's move that pylon up. Right here, maybe. Great minds. Yeah, you got it, you got it. You got it, you got it, you got it. Nice, good job, good job. I think totally fair and reasonable to chase him down there. There are already 2 players down at that point. You shouldn't be too worried about the enemy team getting like trades against your DPS or anything, so that's good. And because the Doomfist is the last one to die, it's probably unlikely that there's a contest here. Having said that, just in case the Venture does go in to do something, maybe, unless you're super confident in the current like distance of these players, because obviously we can see that the Venture is not going to get here in time, but like maybe generally speaking, I wouldn't stand like right here where you were as Illari. I'd be looking to set up back here just in case the Venture gets back in time, because you don't want her to come out and just get all this like easy free damage on you. Like make it hard for her, right? So we end up actually getting first point pretty well. I mean, we get picked at the start. We have our team sort of stagger out for a bit, but then we get 1 kill on the Venture and it just cascades from there, which is good. I don't think we want to be wasting time with this right now. All right, before we start taking this angle, let's do something about this thing. Maybe right here, you know, maybe right here. It's coming back to you for heals, right? You got a Doomfist walking on you, you've got no pylon. Yeah, so again, it's a little bit of a symptom of like, because you play so far up, you're just like, okay, you are healing your team. Like I can't critique you for that, but you're not healing the right person. Okay. And again, it's not that you're choosing to not heal the Cassidy. You're not like looking at the Cassidy and being like, oh, fuck it, I'll heal the Zarya. It's that you're completely unaware of the Cassidy's existence. And this again is a symptom of you playing a little bit too far up a lot of the time, right? So this is probably going to be like the #1 piece of feedback for this game is like, try and be in a position where you can actually see your team. You want to be able to see your team, and you want to be able to see at least like 1 or 2 enemies that you can shoot. Like if you can focus on positioning around that, and actually I did Now, this was a Kiriko VOD, but I did a self VOD review yesterday on Kiriko, and I uploaded it. I think it was on Oasis from memory, and I talked about like why I'm choosing some of the positions that I'm choosing, and how it allows me to have line of sight to the majority, if not all, of my team, while still having at least some targets that I can shoot at. Right, and I think like that's something that you should apply to like most supports in the game that shoot. Obviously, like in an ideal world of Mercy probably can't see any enemies at all because she has no reason to see any enemies, right? But realistically, I think you're trying to like get up in it a little bit too much. Okay, Pylon dies, but you know what? You fucking got this. No, I believe in you. I think actually potentially like given that your Cass has died, Mizuki and whatnot are holding the cart, I'd actually like to see you maybe really try and like mark out this Juno. You don't necessarily need to like chase her, right? But I would hate to see you turn your back to this right now. Right. She's still over there. So had you have just stayed on this angle, I think instead of like sort of backing off, like I'm confident from what I've seen from you from both the last VOD review and this VOD review that you have the aim to 1v1 this Juno. Okay, like you can kill this Juno. You're kind of choosing not to. Right, and so Juno's going to end up pretty much getting out for free. No, okay, maybe not for free. You show the initiatives go up. Ooh, it ends up being close in the end, but you get it. I think you get the kill, and that's great, but I'm like so confident that had you have just like squared up to the Juno a little bit more, then you would have gotten it like earlier, right? Cool, let's get the mini, and then let's get a pylon going. Let's just put it up over here somewhere, because we know the team's pushing, and we know that their team is going to be falling back. Let's get a pylon out. Cool. All right, so where's the next team fight going to take place? The cart's moving, the cart's moving. By the time they regroup, they're 3 players down. The cart's probably going to be... I really should have turned EpiPen in. I always forget to use it every single time. The cart's probably going to be somewhere from like this line to this line when the enemy team comes in. Now, we're on Illari, and we talked about effective range and all that sort of thing. Let's assume that the cart gets to right here. Where do we want to be when the cart gets to right here as Illari? Probably obviously we don't want to be standing in front of the cart, okay? Do we want to be standing behind the cart? Does this feel like a nice, safe position? Maybe not so much. Do we want to be back here? It's a little bit outside of our effective range, and maybe we won't be able to heal everyone, same with here. But what if we go up here? Feels like we create an additional angle, right? Like anyone that gets low on the enemy team and tries to D-peek this way, we still have an angle on them, okay? If anyone tries to engage on us, well, we're already on the high ground, so if a Doomfist slams to come up on us, like we can potentially boop him back with our shift, right? We're inside of our effective range, we'll be doing like effectively full damage on everything here, and maybe where the Doomfist is, that'll be a little bit of fall off damage at that point, right? Gives us a nice position to potentially trigger an ult without needing to like fly up in the air to get a good angle. Like you're already sort of got a good angle, and then you can fly back down behind pieces of cover if you need to. So ideally we probably want to be using this downtime where we've just killed 3 to like walk back, whether you go this way or whatever, go up here and take a nice like oversight position over here to be ready for the next team fight, right? Cool. Looks like we're doing it. Fantastic. Alright, this looks like a near free kill. We get a bit too locked in on it and we don't hear the Doomfist coming behind us. I think there's an argument that the rotation position that I'm suggesting, like going this way, makes so much more sense, because although you've killed quite a few people on their team, like at the end of the day, like if you're the enemy team, like reverse the question. If the cart's gonna be here, like where does the enemy team want to play from? They probably don't all just want to stand in this area here, ideally. Like someone's probably going to come up to contest the high ground. So maybe walking up this way, not the smartest decision, right? On the flip side to that though, if all your team is walking up this way, then in theory, maybe it's good to go with them, because you want to be able to heal and help each other and that sort of thing. So we did just hear the Doomfist use his like slam leap ability then, but don't react to it. Venture gets on us and we die pretty easily, unfortunately. So I think we're slow on our rotation up there, and then we just don't react well to sound cues, right? Realistically, like, if I'm gonna like give maybe like even more detailed advice, I think skip ahead a little bit. A little bit more, a little bit more, a bit more. This is actually your rotation timing here, right? I think, you know, you've just killed the Juno a few seconds earlier. You've killed both of these plays. This is where you consider to start walking up instead of what you did, which is like this decision lag, where you spend an extra like 8 or 9 seconds just kind of like looking around there instead of making your rotation a bit earlier. I think had you have been up here like 8 or 9 seconds earlier, maybe you have a bit more notice of what's happening around you, and you don't end up feeding like that, right? We come back in, but by the looks of it, this fight's already over because the team's died. For the record, I don't feel that so far your team has failed to like create space or play aggressively. Not at this point of the game anyway, which was one of the things that you noted. I think, genuinely, I think like this last team fight could have gone so much differently with the earlier rotation from yourself, right? But like your team was moving up and trying to take the right space. It's just you and the whole team made like a delayed decision instead of doing it earlier when you should have. And at the first point, I don't think that they were like, you know, slow or like failing to move up and play aggressively and take space. It is, however, going to be difficult now because the enemy team is like fully set up for you. The Juno's gone behind again, so our Cass has died a few meters away from us. We're looking at our Cass here. So we don't have a pylon up anywhere. Juno comes behind. We can hear the Juno behind. And yeah, we just react extremely slow to it, and then maybe we can still kill the Juno here. At least we get the pylon out early. You know, we just missed a few shots, but if we hit those shots, we kill them. But you know, that's just another one of those instances where our DPS has died standing next to us or slightly behind us, and we're not reacting in time to it. Right, seems like you guys know. Right, Juno's doing the same thing for the 3rd or 4th time in a row. So I can see where it starts to break down now, because your team comp does feel like it struggles to move up against this with the BAP and the M-Ray controlling high ground positions, M-Ray there, BAP there, with the Juno being a nuisance up and down here, and the Doomfist and Venture having both in and out like engagement tools. I can see how this starts to get a bit of a struggle for you. Ultimately, it is really hard to attack this point when there's like multiple high ground threats and you don't have a good way to clear those high ground threats. So our Ashe has just died. Where's our Ashe? So she's behind us. She's to our right. You know, obviously she gets beamed there. We spend a lot of time, like we spend most of our healing resource pocketing it up Zarya. We have no healing resource. We stop looking at our Ashe for a second and she gets beamed. I mean, it still feels like maybe she's savable there, right? Alright, feels like a free kill, nice. We really do like let our teammates die a lot though, don't we? Like, it's great that we get this kill, but then we just offset it by, instead of immediately pocketing the Mizuki, we go for like our next kill. Like Venture gets off 2 more shots and a dash, realistically, before you're like, oh, maybe I should heal it, you know? So we just need to react a lot quicker to our team getting pressured out like that. You don't die, which is good. You can't really peek this at the moment. Wouldn't expect you to walk out there and heal the Ashe. Someone above you by the sounds of it. I'm sure I just heard some footsteps. Yeah, I did, yeah. So you need to be aware of that. Again, my game sound is 1/5 of normal, so if I can hear it while I'm yapping, you should be able to hear it in game. Too sure where our pylon is right now. Oh, it's over there, yeah. So we've forgotten to move it up. It's generating 0 value for our team at the moment. To be fair, like your team comp feels really hard to get value on into their team comp right now. Like if you genuinely are an Illari one trick, then sometimes you're just going to have to accept that there's going to be situations like this where it's going to be really hard for you to like apply really good positive pressure to try and swing something, because there isn't really like a chance for you to like do something great with your ult with the enemy's positions. Okay, like there's just, you're going to get absolutely beamed by the BAP and the MRA before you can convert value and get through the BAP's immortality field, right? But there's still so much more you could do here in terms of like pile and uptime, in terms of like one, like hitting more shots on the Juno, so aim mechanics, but also just the whole like, you know, Cassidy dies next to us, Ashe dies next to us, Mizuki dies next to us. Like you do need to show a bit more awareness of your team, because ultimately it's going to be a lot easier to move up and take space if you have 5 people than if your team just dies around you, right? Cool. We probably just need to consider walking back to the spawn right now. Zuki's dead. Still, our pylon's still in the same spot. Our pylon's been there for quite a while now. Cool. One more shot. You got it, you got it, you got it. We whiff it. Alright, now thankfully we're back underneath our pylon. Probably not your fault for that one, to be honest. Alright, we'll move our pylon 1 meter to the other side. I reckon she's out. No point chasing that. My ultimate is ready, it sure is, but I don't think you need it just yet. I think what you need to do is you need to like heal your team. Right? We look around, we see frames here, Azari's critical health. Azari's critical health, what do we decide to do when Azari's critical health? Ignore her and take a damage angle, right? So it's a persistent issue that we're seeing throughout your game so far, okay? We get 1. We essentially get 2 out of that, but instead of having a really nice push where maybe we can just walk up 4v3 or 5v3, I guess it would be 5v3 because your Widow would have been back by now. We're now walking up like 3v1, 3v2 with no tank, which makes it a lot, not feel anywhere near as good, right? Like I feel like you still could have hit a good ult, you just needed to like help the Zarya, and realistically again probably didn't actually need to like ult there. I know that we talked about the idea of like using your ult more proactively, and so maybe you're just like, oh my god, I've had my ult for so long, I need to use it. But ultimately like that should / could have been a 5v3 situation for your team. You just needed to like recognize that you actually needed to provide some pocket instead of going for your damage angle there. Get the pylon out, that feels good. Your Widow's dead. Oh, maybe not. Bubble comes through. I mean, the Zarya is doing a better job of pocketing than you. Having said that, if the Widow did die in there, I probably wouldn't put that on you, right? I think you taking this angle down here made a lot of sense. Cool, nice shooting Tex. What advice do you reckon I'm going to give you right now? You killed 2. Where is the next team fight going to happen? It's probably not going to happen here. They're probably not going to engage with no supports. The cart's probably going to get to around here. Are we going to make the same mistake and walk through here, or are we going to take the longer, safer rotation and come up and play from around here? Hopefully that's what we do. Let's have a look. Ashe has gone up. Destroyed the pylon. So Ashe is up there. Widow is up there. They have no heals right now. Okay, is it not possible? Maybe not, actually. I was going to say, is it not possible to go from the card up to there, but maybe it is slightly too high? It's just that, like, your team wants to play at this high ground position. You've got an Ashe and a Widow. Like, you need to recognize that, like, I also, as sport, even if you decide for whatever reason, I actually don't like playing up here, I don't want to do it. Like, you have 2 characters in team that really badly want to play up here, okay? The enemy team has no supports. Like, you've got to do, like, whatever's in your power to help your Ashe and your Widow get this position. And again, I think, had you have walked around here, it's true you wouldn't have been able to heal them because they're too far away. You might be able to like throw a pylon against this wall and it heals them a little bit. But as you were making this rotation up here, like if we go back a few seconds, so this is like roughly when I wanted you to make the rotation. Probably would have been standing right where my camera is now. So you could have been looking back. You've already got one shot on the Doomfist, okay? You just got a second shot on the Doomfist. And now you're walking up this way, okay? So we need a few seconds to walk up this way. 3, 2, 1. All right, we're probably coming out of this doorway right about now. So on the one hand, both of our DPS have dropped down, but on the other hand, there's a killable venture right in front of us, right? The Doomfist is there. True, the Doomfist might try and like punch and engage you, but the Doomfist is low health. There's a mini in here, like it's not a 0% chance, and your Widow's already gone back up, right? So I think this desire to like just stand on the cart, push the cart, I think is maybe like a real hindrance to you. Because again, like the cart's pretty much where I said it would be. The team fight's about, like pretty much about to kick off, but unfortunately, instead of your team having like nice high ground control around here, this is an incredibly contested area. In fact, it looks like the Emre is going to come and take this high ground control, which is going to put your team in a real pickle, right? So we needed to fight for this like ideal positioning a little bit harder when it was a 5v3 and they had no heals. We end up killing the Emre early, so that is like a best case scenario because as I said, like the Emre coming up there, that feels really scary for our team. We invest a Bob to kill him, so we get a one player advantage. But if we think about like your positioning again, like what's the most important aspect of this team fight right now? I mean, we'd say maybe like pushing the cart into the point, right? Realistically, but like what else is happening around us, right? Like both of our supports are about to get zoned out and probably killed by a vendetta, and they have no support. Not our supports, our DPS, and they have no supports that are going to heal them or help them, right? So you're essentially saying like, okay, let's just trade out players. Let's just try and like trade their back line for our front line or our DPS line and see how that goes, right? So yeah, let's see how that goes. So Venture's coming in with ult. This looks really, really scary. And it ends up not working out really well. Had we have helped our team get this high ground positioning? One, maybe we wouldn't have used a Bob for a solo kill and Bob could have helped force more positive objective pressure, or even if it wasn't on the objective, even if the Bob got thrown and it landed on this wall here, at least it's shooting and it's zoning out players. Also, if we had aimed to play with our DPS, whether it was up here or back here, I think there's a decent chance that the Venture doesn't win that 1v2. Even if they pop ult, I think there's still a decent chance that everyone can just like shoot her simultaneously and she dies, okay? I think realistically your choice to just payload princess there is probably the main thing that like results in this not being a team fight win, because in theory your team actually had the ults to cap through here. Like if we go back just a little bit, like your team is going into this team fight, you know, essentially 5 ults pretty much when the cart is rolling up to here, right? Let's go a little bit further back. You know, we've almost got 5 ults. They're down both of their supports. It looks unlosable unless we make significant errors in like our choices from here on out, which is exactly what happens. Not to say that there's no blame on your DPS at all, but realistically, like your DPS, in my opinion, have done the right thing. They've gone and tried to challenge the high ground. Once they were unable to challenge the high ground, they took the next best angle, which was this long sight line down here. My opinion, your DPS have done pretty much like the right thing, but they've just played the majority of this team fight with like little to no help from you and little to no help from the Mizuki. Having said that, like it should be you up here and not the Mizuki up here, because if the Mizuki's up here, like, you know, his left click only goes so far, like he can't impact the fight when the cart gets over here, right? So I think like it's probably a key. I think your choice of positioning is probably one of the key things that results in your team not capping the point here, right? And then obviously, yeah, your team dies and then it's over. So I think to recap, the number one issue is definitely like a lack of awareness of your team when they actually do need heals. I know, again, maybe the feedback I gave you last time was that you needed to heal less, but maybe that was more in the context of you just like being around a corner where you can see no enemy and just holding down right click a lot. So you've gone maybe a little bit too far in the other direction at the moment, and you do need to like maintain more awareness of where your team is at and what their health is, and who's getting shot, so that you can actually try and save them from this damage that's coming in sometimes. I think the number two thing is going to be choices of positioning. So again, thinking about like, where is the next team fight likely to happen, and in an ideal world, where would I like to be when that team fight happens, and then seeing if you can make that into a reality and actually get to that position. The third and final thing is still going to be pylons. I think like you're really, really good as the game started, and then as the game progressed, we get worse and worse with not moving our pylons up, putting them in like especially like the final point defense, putting them in like really weird positions that feel like they're a bit counterintuitive, like the one here and that sort of thing, right? So if you can keep working on those three things, I'm hoping that not only will you get from, the rank up from diamond to low masters, but hopefully you can keep on getting up to, mid masters, high masters within a few weeks. Hopefully this helps. Good luck.